Hello? What's wrong, honey?
I'm so sorry to call you like this all of a sudden. Actually, I got in an accident, and a car had hit me.
What? Are you okay?
Yeah, for now I'm okay. But I fractured my arm.
I see. I'm really worried about you, but I'm so sorry. I'm currently on my business trip, so I can't really go back home so suddenly.
Yeah, I know. So please don't worry so much about me.
I'm really, really sorry.
I felt a little sad when my husband, Austin, said that he couldn't come see me because of his business trip. But I tell myself that he's got no choice since he was working. My name is Lydia. I am 27 years old and I work in a company. I have a boyfriend named Austin, whom I have been dating for 2 years. I first met Austin through work, since he and I was working in the same department in the same company. He is 2 years older than me and was my mentor when I first joined the company. I was attracted to him because of his good teaching skills, and he was also good at catching people's attention with his storytelling skills. Then, later on, he had asked me out for dinner and dates, and we naturally started dating. And 2 years passed in the blink of an eye. And just recently, Austin proposed to me. I was very happy and said yes. But there was a little problem. And that is that Austin wants me to quit my job and be a full-time housewife when we get married. And on top of that, he wants us to live with his parents at their house. With that, I wondered if I should accept his proposal on marrying him. Even though I had already accepted Austin's approval, saying yes right away, this was an important and critical question. And after thinking about it a lot through day and night, I finally decided to marry him. I love him, and it's not like I could stop loving him because of that. So, upon Austin's request, I decided to leave the company where I had worked for 5 years, and I decided to become a full-time housewife. Living with Austin's parents, John and Kate, at their house made me really anxious and nervous until the very last minute. That was because I had only met them 3 times before. Once before Austin and I got married, and when my parents and Austin's parents met, and at the wedding. So, I had no idea what kind of personalities John and Kate had. Besides, I heard so many stories of family issues where the mother-in-law bullies the wife on a daily basis. I didn't even want to think about that topic, but for some reason, I kept on seeing that kind of issues on the news or the internet, and they made me more and more anxious. And finally, life with John and Kate had begun. But despite all my worries and anxieties, both John and Kate were surprisingly kind to me. Kate carefully taught me how to do house chores, and I was able to learn the fundamentals of being a full-time housewife without any stress. And John always had a smile on his face and was not at all bossy like how some father-in-laws can be, as they can act like they're the boss of the house. But John wasn't like that at all. Rather, he made me feel very comfortable when we ate meals together, because he would just casually talk to me, and we'd just have nice, pleasant conversations. And most importantly, both John and Kate love each other very much. So overall, there was just a great atmosphere in the house, thanks to them. Because of this, my husband is also just gentle and kind to me. I felt I had married into a very good family. With this, I truly felt happy to have married my husband. After a year of living such a happy life, it was decided at work that my husband had to go on a business trip. It was the first time for him to go on a business trip since we got married. But it didn't really surprise me, as it was something I had expected. It was a job that required on-site research, and I had been on several business trips when I was working for the company as well. He said he was going on a business trip to another city and would stay there for a couple of days. Thinking how much I missed the days when I went on business trips, I helped my husband prepare for his trip. My husband seemed to be excited, probably because it was his first business trip in a long time. Are you that excited to go on a business trip, honey?
Oh, yeah, for sure. I have the chance to eat some different kinds of food, you know? Oh, and I'll make sure to buy souvenirs too, Lydia.
Oh, come on now. It's not like you're going there to travel as a tourist. It's for your business trip, honey. But I'll be looking forward to the souvenirs.
Good. Expect something yummy and nice.
My husband woke up on the day of his business trip and left home early in the morning. I really wonder if Austin understands that this is for his job. Well, I remember that when I was working in that company, Austin did his work really well, so I'm sure he'll be fine. I spent my first day without my husband while having such a conversation with Kate. The bed that I usually share with Austin feels very spacious and huge because I am sleeping alone now. This is going to last for 2 or 3 days, huh? I felt lonelier than I had expected. Oh, what am I thinking about? I didn't want to be that type of woman who's a pain in the butt. I decided to go to bed quickly without thinking too much about it. But the next morning, I woke up early, even though I didn't have to make my husband's lunch. I thought about going to sleep once again, but I was somehow unable to get back to sleep, even though I was pretty drowsy. Since I couldn't get to sleep, I had no choice but to go to the living room. I had a conversation with John, who's a morning person and wakes up early. And as I began talking to him, my drowsiness went away. Then I saw John off to work with Kate. Oh, today's the day where the supermarket sells meat for cheap price, right? I'll go buy some already. Oh, you sure about that? Thank you, that would be helpful. I had nothing to do, so I decided to go for grocery shopping in the morning. I was pedaling my bike to the supermarket close by the house, while feeling the wind in my face when something unexpected happened. Just as I was about to cross the street at a traffic light, I collided with a car that had ignored the light. I was knocked off from my bike and fell to the ground, and the impact of hitting the car had knocked me unconscious. And before I knew it, I was on the bed in the hospital room. Oh, Lydia! Oh, thank goodness. I'm so glad you're awake now. Kate, where am I? You got hit by a car and got unconscious, and you were taken to the hospital by an ambulance. Then the memories came back to me bit by bit. Then I noticed that my arm was a little sore. I looked closely and saw that I had a cast on it. Your injuries aren't really critical, but your right arm is fractured and the diagnosis was that you need to stay in the hospital for a bit, along with taking some tests, just to make sure. Oh, is that so? Apparently, according to Kate, the car that ran the red light and hit me was in a hurry because the driver was about to be late for a meeting with a client. I regret a little bit thinking that if I had gone to the supermarket in the afternoon as usual, instead of in the morning, this might not have happened. Oh yes, could you try to call Austin, Lydia? I tried to call him, but my calls wouldn't get through to him. Oh, okay. I will try to call him. I moved to a place where I could make a phone call and called my husband.
Hello? What's wrong, honey?
I'm so sorry to call you like this all of a sudden. Actually, I got in an accident and a car had hit me.
What? Are you okay?
Yeah, for now, I'm okay. But I fractured my arm.
I see. I'm really worried about you, but I'm so sorry. I'm currently on my business trip, so I can't really go back home so suddenly.
Yeah, I know. So please don't worry so much about me.
I'm really, really sorry.
I felt a little sad when my husband Austin said that he couldn't come see me because of his business trip. But I tell myself that he's got no choice since he was working. To be honest, I wanted him to cancel his business trip right away and be with me in the hospital. Were you able to be in touch with Austin? Yes. He got worried when he heard about what happened, but because he's at work in the business trip, he can't really come here. My God, what is wrong with him? When his own wife is out here being hospitalized. Well, it's not like my injuries were fatal, so it's okay. Kate then turned the TV on while having an unconvinced look on her face. It was in the afternoon, and the news was on. My mom and I always used to watch this news program, and the weatherman was reporting from another city where the temperature had reached over 86 degrees Fahrenheit.
Wow, it's still very hot here even though autumn is just around the corner. I see everyone wearing just shirts and sandals because of the heat.
The weatherman was walking through a park that looked like a tourist location in the area while saying that. Then, I spotted a familiar man on the edge of the TV. Huh? Is that Austin? What? Oh! Apparently, Kate noticed that the person was Austin too. So, what I had seen was not a mistake. That shoulder bag he has was the one I packed for him in his suitcase. And then, I saw on the TV that my husband was holding hands with a young woman whom I had never seen before while looking at his phone. I wondered if they were looking for some tourist spots to go to. If a stranger just saw this on the screen, I'm sure that the stranger would think they were just a friendly couple on a trip. I quickly got my phone ready and took a photo of this TV screen while Austin and the young girl was on the screen. At this point, I was glad that I was left-handed. Because my left arm wasn't fractured, I was able to quickly prepare my phone. As Kate watched the TV screen, she said, "That idiot, what is he doing?" And she looked like she was fed up. "Oh, Lydia, I'm really sorry about our stupid son." "It's not your fault, Kate, so please don't apologize." Later on, my parents also arrived at the hospital and Kate was the first to apologize to them, saying, "I'm really sorry for what my son did to your daughter," which really confused my parents. Did the accident happen because of Austin? Oh, no, that's not really the reason why I'm apologizing. The exchange between my parents and Kate, who were both upset over my accident, and the fact that Austin had been having an affair, looked a little hilarious to watch, even though it was an inappropriate subject. I explained and my parents calmed down, and Kate apologized again to my parents. I will make sure that my son will take responsibility for this. John then arrived, and a discussion began between Austin's parents, my parents, and I. For the time being, the discussion proceeded for me to get a divorce with my husband and for him to pay alimony. My parents did get the message that Austin's parents were decent people, so they were not that angry with them. After that, I was discharged from the hospital without any issues after a few days of examination. And just around the same time, my husband came back home from the business trip. Oh, that's wrong. I meant the affair trip with his mistress.
I'm home.
Welcome home.
Oh, Lydia, honey, is your arm okay?
My husband sees my cast looking all worried while saying that. If it's just my arm, then it's fine.
What do you mean? Is there something wrong? Are you injured anywhere else?
Well, if I had to say it, I'd say that there's something wrong with your head.
Excuse me?
How could you go on a fair trip with your mistress when your wife was in an accident and could have died?
Affair? What are you even talking about? I was on the business trip, you know? I would never cheat on you, and I couldn't even go sightseeing these 3 past days in the first place.
You know, you really should stop playing dumb.
What are you even saying, Mom?
Then, what the hell is this, huh? I showed him the photo of the TV screen I had taken with my phone. This is you, right? And the other girl is a girl I've never seen before. Since this was caught on live TV, it was just when you were on your so-called business trip. You even held hands with her, being so close like that. My husband's face turned pale bit by bit as I showed him the photo and talked what I saw.
This is all a misunderstanding. This female colleague who went on a business trip with me was saying her hands were cold or something.
The weatherman on that live program was saying something about how the temperature was over 86 degrees Fahrenheit. What? Do you mean that she has something like a disease where she feels really cold even when it's really hot or something?
No, I'm sorry. Actually, I have no idea why, but that girl likes me. I was so stressed because I had to go on a business trip with her and she forced me to hold her hand.
Oh, really? She forced you, huh?
Yeah, that's it. You're the only one for me, Lydia. I was really getting annoyed by that girl, you know.
After my husband said that, Kate slapped him right on his cheek.
Ouch! Mom?
I had no idea you were such a lying scumbag.
What do you mean? I'm not lying.
You lied about the business trip, didn't you?
What?
I already contacted the company. I told them I was in an accident and asked for the company to have you come visit me in the hospital. But I was told by the company that you took 3 days of leave, huh? My husband began to tremble and looked like he didn't know what to say. So, that means that everything you just said right now is all a lie, right? My husband, probably feeling desperate, got down on his knees and apologized.
I'm sorry. I was being seduced.
John, Kate, and I questioned him about his mistress. It turns out that his mistress was a new employee who had just joined the company this year. And my husband was our first mentor. In other words, my husband was just a scumbag who was really quick in having an affair with the girl he got to mentor. After Kate slapped Austin, John had also slapped him on his other cheek.
Lydia was such a wonderful wife to you, and she worked so hard around the house. I don't consider you my son anymore. Get out of here right now."
And like that, my husband was kicked out from his parents' place. After that, with the help of John and Kate, the divorce went smoothly. I filed for alimony against my ex-husband and his mistress. They both received a pay cut in the company, but many of my acquaintances were employed at the same department as them. So, both Austin and his mistress continued to receive the cold shoulder from the colleagues, and in the end, Austin resigned voluntarily. As for his mistress, she had just graduated from university, and if she quit now, her career would be damaged. And since there was no money to pay the alimony in the first place, she had to continue working at the company to pay for it. So, it seems like she has to put up with it and keep working while getting the cold shoulder by everyone in the department. Austin supposedly changed jobs, but his salary is lower than his previous job, and the company he now works for has terrible working conditions, so he has no time to play around and all his income goes to the alimony, so his life is now a living hell. Well, I have no sympathy for him at all, because he deserved it. On the other hand, I found a new job and a new room. I am currently working hard and enjoying the life being a single person. By the way, Kate and I have become really good friends and really close since then. And we occasionally go out to cafes and for dinner. I wonder why such kind parents like John and Kate gave birth to a son who is a scumbag, but I would like to thank my ex-husband just a little bit for letting me meet John and Kate. There are men who tries to get on with women in the workplace. And these kind of people are the ones who seem really kind and gentle, but actually, they can betray you just like that. If Austin was going to cheat on his wife, he shouldn't have proposed and get married at all. But, well, Lydia became friends with Kate, who is very wonderful to her, so maybe what happened was all a good thing in the end. I hope Lydia will find a wonderful person in the future. Thank you for watching until the end. Please subscribe to our channel. We hope to see you in our next video.
My husband decided all on his own that his mother would be living with us. I couldn't take it anymore and...
My name is Jennifer. I am 32 years old, and I work for a company. I have been married to my husband, Charles, and 3 years has passed already. Our marriage has been stuck in a rut over the years, and I get the feeling that our intimacy and feelings with each other are getting a little weaker compared to how it was when we just got married. But I would like to believe that we still love each other in one way or another. We do occasionally fight, but we celebrate each other's birthdays and the wedding anniversaries every year, and we are able to live together without any major issues. So perhaps we are gradually becoming more like a family than just a lovey-dovey married couple. For me, I didn't have that much problem with the relationship I had with my husband. But I had some issues with my relationship that I had with my mother-in-law, Laura. Laura was what you'd call a typical bullying the wife type of mother-in-law, and so she would pick on me and bully me, and I was the victim to her trap. Oh gosh! The meals that you cook, Jennifer, is not very tasty. I mean, it's really tasteless, and it's not that even good. I'm sorry. I'm trying to be more conscious about being healthy and making healthy meals, which is why I'm trying to cut back on salt as much as possible. Well, the other day, Charles told me that you don't make any fried meals that often. Is that right? When Charles stayed over at my house the other day, I made him fried foods and he was so happy. You know, Charles was saying that there was no fried food or any meals with fried food at all back at his house while he was eating what I cooked for him. You have to make what your husband wants, okay? Are you sure you're not just being really immature and saying things like how you're afraid of the oil when you fry the food? No, that's not what I mean at all. Well, I will try to make them from now on. The reason I don't make any fried foods is because my husband's numbers and the result of the annual medical checkup which he gets aren't really good numbers. And that's also another reason why I'm cutting back on salt. I'm trying to take really good care of my husband's health, but as his own mother, Laura's just interfering with what I'm trying to do. These thoughts came to my mind as I was really irritated by Laura and everything she says to me, but if I tried to say something like that to her, she would get really furious. So I had no choice but to reply without arguing back to Laura and just shrug it off. But even if I do that, Laura's bullying towards me didn't stop at all, and everything she said was mentally stressing me out. As a typical way for a mother-in-law to bully the wife, they would ask about the wife's pregnancy and if the wife has their grandchild or not. And well, Laura does the exact same thing and asks me if I got pregnant with her grandchild or not every time I see her. I thought she wouldn't go into that too much since my husband has an older brother, John, and him and his wife already has a child. But it didn't seem to matter at all, and she would be very nosy and always asks me, "Are you doing it properly to make a baby? Or you're not doing it at all?" Or say other annoying things like, "Why don't you go to a clinic and try the infertility treatment?" My husband and I have decided to wait for a baby to come naturally. And well, to be honest, we can't really afford to have a baby at this time. In fact, just a few days ago, my husband quit his job because he said he was depressed. Charles has received a doctor's note and has been receiving unemployment benefits, but it doesn't change the fact that he is still unemployed. So having a baby is just a secondary concern for us. Since I am currently working, we are able to make ends meet for now. But with the rent, living expenses, and other expenses we have to pay, we have very little money saved up for our family. Despite that, Laura seems to visit us at our house often during the daytime because my husband is now at home, and they both go out to eat together or get food delivered to our house frequently. And it seems like my husband is paying for all of it. So, in other words, it is the same as if I was paying for the both of them to eat out or get food delivered from what I earned. No matter how much unemployment benefit my husband can receive from the government, it is only for a limited period of time, so we really can't afford to have a luxurious life. But neither my husband nor Laura understands this situation at all. A year passed in the blink of an eye, and my husband's unemployment benefits came to an end. During that time, my husband did not even try to look at postings for a new job or even try to do anything at all. Well, I can't really say it to Charles too strongly about this because he is depressed. So, I would say it really indirectly and nicely to my husband. Why don't you look for a job? But to this, he would say,
I'm not ready yet.
But my husband is really energetic. I mean, he eats a lot and does no house chores or try to help around the house and plays video games all the time. And Laura would spoil my husband, telling him that he should rest until he's satisfied every time she sees him. The other day, Laura would just even blame me about Charles's situation by saying, "It's your fault that my son hasn't recovered yet." From my point of view, my husband is taking too much time off, and I really don't deserve to be blamed for that. Then, something happened that further escalated for the worse in our marriage. It all started when my father-in-law, Jack, became ill and passed away. Until then, Laura had been living together with Jack, but with his passing, she was left all alone. So now, she came up with the idea of living together with either our family or John's family. John and I had a bad feeling that Laura would come up with this idea when we were at Jack's funeral. At the funeral, Laura was very quiet, which was very unusual of her. John and his wife had often been criticized by Laura as well, and they were concerned about how quiet she was at the funeral. So, this time, Laura's stupid proposal popped up, and I don't know what my idiot husband thought, but he decided that Laura would come live with us without even discussing to me about it. This is the conversation I had between my husband a few days after Jack's funeral.
My mother will come over soon. She said she'll bring out a lot of stuff with her, so she told me to tell you to have a room ready for her to sleep in.
Oh, is that so? Is she staying the night? How long is she going to stay at our place for?
Huh? What the heck are you saying? My mother's going to stay with us forever. She's going to live with us from now on.
Okay, please sign this. With that, I brought out the divorce papers I had kept in a drawer to my husband. He was lying on the sofa, but jumped up when he saw that what I had brought out was the divorce papers.
Excuse me? Divorce? Why?
Well, isn't it obvious? Do you have any idea how much Laura has been bullying and harassing me these years? I wanted nothing more to do with Laura, and now she wants to live with us? I really can't believe this is happening. And I'm sick and tired of you deciding such an important thing all on your own without even telling me about it beforehand. Why can't we discuss these important issues as a married couple?
That's because in the end, it'll all be decided with my decision anyways.
What the? Are you saying that you won't listen to what I have to say and what my opinions are at all? Once I heard my husband's true feelings, which completely gave me a shock, my affectionate feelings and love for him was completely gone all at once. I really can't do this anymore. Let's just get a divorce right now.
No, come on. hold on a second. Divorce is not the right answer.
It means that for you, I'm just there so that I can just obey what you say, right? You're going to just make me do all the house chores and earn money with my job, and then now you'll make me take care of your own mother.
That's not what I meant.
I knew there was no point in talking to Charles about it anymore, since it looked like he's already made up his mind. So I went to my room and began to pack my things. And while I began to pack, I realized that the amount of the things I had was quite smaller than I thought. Come to think of it, Laura came over to my house and tried to mess with everything I had and throw some of my things away without my permission. I seriously hated that. So that's why I sent all my important stuff to my parents' house before. And because of that, I realized that I had spent most of my life as a minimalist at this house. Therefore, even if I was leaving this house, I really didn't even need the movers to move my things, as I can move them all on my own. I could just pack my clothes in my duffel bag, and I would only need one cardboard box for cooking utensils and other things. I put the pans and pots and the utensils in the empty cardboard box. And my husband was looking at me with a panicked look on his face.
Are you really going to leave?
Well, yes, of course.
Please think it over.
I was just deeply shocked by my husband's refusal to apologize for what he had done after all this time. So I just shoved my belongings into the car and left the house and headed for my parents' house. My parents were surprised that I suddenly showed up so late at night, but when I explained the situation and what had been happening to them, they were just so disappointed at Charles. Hearing what had happened, my father said,
"You should just leave him,"
which made me feel a little better. I didn't want to talk to my husband when he called me that day, so I turned off my phone and just got into my bed. Thank God I had the next 2 days off, since it was the weekend. It's really difficult to work in such a state of mind. The next morning, I was really impressed that the breakfast was ready when I woke up and enjoyed my mother's meals. I feel a little better after spending time at my parents' house for the first time in a while. And after I calmed down a little bit, I turned on my phone, thinking that I should be getting a lot of calls by now. Then I saw many incoming calls and text messages from my husband. My husband had apparently went back to Laura's house and had sent me messages.
"I'm currently at my mother's house. I'm helping her pack her things. When you said divorce, you were just being really emotional, so that's why you just lashed out talking about divorce, right? Well, I forgive you now. So just come home soon. My mother also says that there's no way a wife should leave her husband and leave the house like that. Oh, and just to let you know, I tore up the divorce papers. Well, you can stay at your parents' house for a couple of days, so get yourself together quickly and come home soon."
What the hell? Why did Charles tore up the divorce papers without my permission? I really can't believe him. I was so angry that I replied back to Charles as if I was already dealing with a complete stranger. For your information, I am not being emotional, and I am being logical here. The reason I want to divorce you is not just the fact that you said we were living together with Laura. First of all, you quit your job without even telling me. And after that, you did not look for any jobs at all and just stayed at home, relaxing around. And you did no house chores or even tried to help around the house at all. I can already hear your excuse saying that it was because you are depressed, but I know that it's not true, you know. The other day, I happened to meet a colleague of yours. You remember Bill, who was at our wedding, right? Well, he said that the reason you quit was because you had an argument with your boss. Plus, Bill said that you made a mistake and it was your fault. But you went against your boss, who was angry with you for the mistake you made on your own, huh? And yet, you took advantage of the company's strict compliance rules and you lied, claiming you were receiving power harassment by your boss, and then went to the hospital to get the doctor's note to show that you were depressed. What a low-life scumbag you are. Who would want to stay married to such a person like you? I will send you the divorce papers later on, so please make sure you check it and sign them this time. If you don't sign the papers, I will lawyer up and sue you so we can fight in court. It's so refreshing to say all the things I wanted to say to my husband finally. After sending this message, my husband stopped responding to me at all. Then, the day after I sent the divorce papers, I received a message from Charles saying that he had signed the papers and submitted them. It seems that he was quite scared of my text messages. I replied, "Please don't ever contact me again," and blocked Charles's number. As for my ex-husband after that, John told me all about the details. He said that my ex-husband was evicted from his house because he couldn't pay the rent after I left. He then returned to Laura's house and is now an unemployed scumbag and relying all on Laura's pension. And John said that Laura had contacted him and his wife asking for help about Charles. But John has refused to help Laura because he knew that his wife was severely bullied by Laura, and for that, he will never forgive Laura for what she had done. So now, Laura has started working as a janitor in an office building because she has to support her son since her pension is not enough to cover them both. As for Charles, he really couldn't get back into the society and work properly in a company. And because of his terrible lifestyle of not moving around at all, he was diagnosed for having diabetes. Well, both Laura and Charles got what they deserved. I, on the other hand, started dating a colleague from work and got married a year later. And then I got pregnant and we had a baby. Currently, my husband, our son, and I are getting along very well and are having a great time together. Thank you for watching until the end. Please subscribe to our channel. We hope to see you in our next video.
My husband and his mother goes after my inheritance as a result.
I'm not going to be the one paying for it.
Wait, Kate. Hold on a minute. I've always supported you, Kate, haven't I? So, can't you just do me this favor? When your parents passed away, I never left and I was always by your side, supporting you.
Did you get close to me because you thought my parents were corporate executives and you could count on what I would inherit from them?
No, that's...
I see. So you were after the money from the beginning, huh?
Well, so what? What if I was? But that's not the only thing I was after. I also thought that you...
Was it fun for you? To have a wife who earns a lot for you?
That's not what I said.
Did you think that if you impregnated me quickly, that I won't run away from you?
Well, it's what I deserve, don't I? I've done everything for you. I've done everything you've asked, you know.
You've done everything I asked for? Oh, please. You did that for your own desires, wasn't it? Thank goodness I didn't get pregnant. My name is Kate. It has been 8 years since I got married to my husband, Harry. We don't have any kids at the moment, but this is what we always talked about, even before my husband and I got married. I have been working in a consulting company and I love my job. My husband has been saying that he wants kids, but it's not like he wants to raise the kids. Even though Harry says he wants kids, he could not seem to let go of the perception that taking care of the kids are something what women do. And he would say that as if it's a normal thing, and he probably thought that I was supposed to raise our kids. I understand your feelings, Harry, but I have no intention of raising a baby yet.
Why?
Because I want to keep doing my job.
But I do think that a baby would need his or her mother's love.
Well, all children should grow up with love from not just by their mothers, but by everyone, right? But I can't do that right now, so I'm glad that you want to marry me. But if you want kids, it'll be a little complicated, but I think you should choose to be with someone else.
Someone else? I can't think of being with someone else than you.
I want to get married to you too, Harry, you know. But I just can't change my mind here. He seemed to take it very seriously, and the subject of kids came up several times after that.
After everything we discussed about having kids, I still want to marry you, Kate. I've come to think that as long as you're with me, I don't have to have kids.
I see.
Besides, there may come a time when you want to have kids, right?
Well, I don't want you to linger on to any hope like that. I can't really tell at the moment if I would or not, you know. We talked about the subject over and over, and then we got married. My parents and his parents agreed with our decision, and I think our marriage was going great. My husband and I first met in college. He joined the club I was in when he was a freshman, and I was a junior back then, and at the club we got to know each other and began to go out. We both loved movies, so we belonged to a movie critique club and had a lot of discussions. We often went to the movies together because we liked the same genres of movies. One day, my husband asked me to be his girlfriend. I also loved my husband and thought that if I were to get married, it would be to him. But you only live once. I didn't want to compromise too much in my marriage. I never told my husband about this, but what he said on "there may come a time in the future when I would like to have kids" was spot on. It's not that I don't want children. It's just that now is not the right time for me. I wanted to devote my time to work. But if I said that, I would just give hopes to my husband. I felt like I was tricking Harry if I married him by saying, maybe I will want a baby, and I knew I shouldn't do that. And now, we have been married for 8 years. We still don't have any kids yet. I was beginning to feel that I should focus on my job for 2 more years, build up my performance and skills, and then think about having kids. Of course, I didn't tell my husband about this. To give him hopes like this would be to belittle the conclusion he made 8 years ago after discussing about it and giving it a serious thought. For the past 8 years, our marriage had been really good. But then, one phone call would change my husband and my life forever. It was a call from the police. My parents had been involved in an accident and were rushed to the hospital. So I rushed to the hospital, but I couldn't make it in time as my parents passed away. When I had dinner at my parents' house a week before, they were both smiling cheerfully. And even 3 days ago, I was just on the phone with my mother. She sounded great. And yet, there they were, both of them, lying cold, right before my eyes. It was so difficult for me to accept what had happened to them. It was my husband who stood and supported me in my grief. After the funeral, even though Harry was a bit uncoordinated, he took care of the things around the house for me, who couldn't go to sleep because of my grief. My mother-in-law, Sarah, also rushed over and cooked us meals. Seeing this, I felt a little better knowing that I wasn't all alone. But this relationship would be destroyed because of what I would inherit from my parents. Money changes people. I never thought that this would actually happen to me in real life. During the week I was absent from work due to bereavement, I was able to live and eat well, with the support of my husband and Sarah. But I had a job that I had to go to. I couldn't just be in bed crying all day. So I got myself together and went to work. My coworkers and bosses welcomed me back to the company kindly. My direct boss even tried to reduce my workload, but this didn't help me at all. At the moment, I just wanted to get a lot of work done and forget about my grief and sadness. I asked my boss to increase the number of the cases which I could be in charge of. Thanks to this, I was exhausted from work, but my mind seemed to have calmed down. And then one day, my husband brought up the subject of my parents.
You know, I think it's time to start organizing your parents' things. It seems like things get a lot more difficult to handle after 3 months. I'm really sorry. I really didn't want to bring this topic up, you know. I can help you.
Oh yeah, you're right. I do have to do it.
I'll help you. You seem busy too, Kate.
It's okay. I want to do everything that I can for my parents. I mean, I couldn't even take care of them as their daughter. I want to at least make sure they're well taken care of in the end.
I see. All right, I understand. If it gets difficult for you, let me know, okay? I'll always help you out.
Thank you so much. I took my husband's advice and spent my day offs sorting out my parents' documents, assets, and their inheritance. As a result, my parents' inheritance came to be about $2 million. After that, I continued to spend my day offs cleaning up my parents' house and sorting through their belongings. I spent a long time cleaning up my parents' house, and it reminded me of many things. I spent my childhood years at this house, and I moved out of this house when I got married. My parents' house is filled with many memories. In the summer, we ate ice cream in the garden, and in the winter, we made snowmans with the snow. Remembering these things, tears began to well up again. I wish I could raise my kids here. I mumbled these words to myself. It was a moment where the thought of having kids had greatly changed in my mind. I won't hesitate anymore. I'll make sure to tell my husband about how I felt. I went home with this thought in mind, but as it turned out, my husband and I ended up divorcing without ever discussing about what I felt about having kids. When I returned home, my husband welcomed me back home.
Welcome home.
Thanks, I'm back home. You know...
Hey, your parents' inheritance and the money, it all was transferred to you today, right, Kate?
Excuse me?
Well, I mean, you were talking to someone who's from the bank the other day, right?
You were listening to the conversation?
Oh yeah, I could hear it, you know.
There's no way Harry could hear it. When I was on the phone, I was in my walk-in closet, which was in my study room at the time. I was picking out clothes when someone from the bank called me, and we were talking right then and there. so there was no way Harry could hear the conversation unless he actually came into my study room. Harry and I each have our own study rooms, and we usually hardly go into each other's studies. But if he heard my conversation, then that means that my husband was the only one who came into my study room at the time. Something feels wrong. I was feeling so happy just now.
It's planned that you'd inherit $2 million, right?
What? I didn't tell you about that, right?
Oh no, I saw a written memo which I found on the floor a few days ago.
He's lying. I did write it as a memo, but that memo was written on my schedule planner. So that means that Harry actually went through my stuff to see it. I didn't receive it yet.
Oh? Really?
Well, you see, I have a lot of work to do right now, so I don't have time to actually receive it.
I see.
My husband didn't ask any more questions other than that. But he seemed somewhat restless. Is it just me, or is Harry acting strange? It is not possible for Harry to be blinded by my parents' inheritance. He was the one who tenderly cared for me when I was grieving. Of course, that would never happen. That's what I kept on saying to myself. But the next day, what I had thought was completely different. Because Kate and her husband, John, came over and I found out their true nature. I'm home. Oh, welcome home, Kate. Oh, Sarah? And John too, you were all here? Yes, because today is a celebration. What are we celebrating for?
Oh, Mother, come on, wait a minute. I told you that Kate hasn't received the inheritance yet.
Oh? But isn't it already decided that she'll get it? If so, then that's good, right? What are you all talking about? Oh my God, Harry didn't tell you? We're going to rebuild our house. Huh? Oh, really? I'm sorry, I didn't hear about that. Oh, is that so? Well, it's okay. We'll be waiting for you to pay up. Huh? We're going to rebuild our house with your parents' inheritance. It seems like Sarah blurted out something that I hadn't ever heard. To begin with, both of my parents were working as executives of a company. Upon receiving the news of my parents' passing, my husband, who thought the inheritance will be a lot, told Sarah that he would rebuild the house and move in with them. And of course, he was planning to use my parents' inheritance money to rebuild his parents' house. You've got to be kidding me. Who would even go along with that ridiculous idea? I'm not going to be the one paying for it.
Wait, Kate, hold on a minute. I've always supported you, Kate, haven't I? So, can't you just do me this favor? When your parents passed away, I never left, and I was always by your side supporting you.
Did you get close to me because you thought my parents were corporate executives and you could count on what I would inherit from them?
No, that's not it.
I just remembered, Before we started to go out, you kept on asking me a lot about my parents, didn't you? What was that for?
No, that's...
I see. So you were after the money from the beginning, huh?
Well, so what? What if I was? But that's not the only thing I was after. I also thought that you...
Was it fun for you to have a wife who earns a lot for you?
That's not what I said.
Did you think that if you impregnated me quickly, that I won't run away from you?
Well, it's what I deserve, don't I? I've done everything for you. I've done everything you've asked, You've done everything I asked for? Oh, please. You did that for your own desires, wasn't it? Thank goodness I didn't get pregnant.
Hey, Kate, you do know that by not having kids, you're not taking care of us as your parents-in-laws, right? So, you should at least contribute and pay for our new house. No way. I have no obligations to do so. Because I do not intend to continue our married life that I have with your son. What did you just say?
Oh, Mother, just stop it. I did get along with Kate for the money anyways. If we get a divorce, she'll be the one who'll be in trouble. Because I'll take half of what she owns anyways. Well, it's fine with me if we get a divorce. Getting half of what you own is much better anyways.
Is that so? Well then, can you just leave now since we're getting a divorce?
Huh? Why should I be the one to leave here?
Well, that's because I own this house and it's under my name. Oh, then are you going to pay for the rent? It costs about $3,500 per month, so can you handle that?
How dare you make fun of me? Of course I can pay that much.
Oh, I see then. With your monthly salary of $2,800, I didn't know you could afford this rent. Were you investing or something? Well then, I guess I should leave, huh?
Now, wait a minute. Actually, I wasn't really fond of this house from the beginning. So, I'll be the one leaving, but that's not because I can't pay the rent, okay?
Okay, if you say so. Well then, please kindly leave. It's unfortunate that half of what you own would be taken away in the end, Kate. Sarah said that to me while she looked down on me. But in any case, John, what was the point of you being here for? He was just silent the whole time. He never, ever said anything, so I really don't understand why he was there. After that, I expected that some things might go wrong with my divorce to Harry, so I hired a lawyer. And just as I expected, both Harry and Sarah was being a hassle throughout the whole divorce proceedings. Well, of course they'd act like that. Because they never got my property or the inheritance from my parents. My husband thought that he could at least receive $1 million from the inheritance, but he had no idea that inheritance doesn't apply to common property. He really must be an idiot. But Harry did try to take the common properties away from me. And he even claimed for $100,000 for it. But this is where his father John came in. It turns out that John was so fed up with his wife and his son during that talk, and he was completely agreeing on the divorce and was also thinking of divorcing Laura. Laura desperately pleaded John not to leave her, and he said he wouldn't leave and divorce Laura on the condition that she would not receive any money from me. Laura, not wanting to get a divorce, desperately tried to persuade John, but in the end, she agreed to not receive anything from me. I'm glad you came in handy, John. I guess he wasn't being silent for nothing. Plus, John was the only one who contacted me to apologize. At that point, John promised me to keep both Harry and Sarah under his surveillance so that they wouldn't harass me, and he gave me his condolences to my parents. Since then, my husband and I got divorced and I was finally free. My ex-husband called me once to try to get back with me, but I ignored him. I had no obligations to help him as well. Harry and I have been living based on my earnings, and since then, John has been managing all his money, so I guess he won't have any freedom at all anymore. Harry and Sarah deserves what they got. I, on the other hand, decided to move out of the house and live back at my parents' house. And 4 years later, I remarried, and I am now pregnant. I am grateful to have a child, even though I am over 40 years old. I hope to be able to eat ice creams in the garden with my son. So Harry was after Kate's money from the beginning. And saying things like how Harry wants a child makes it seem like he totally sees kids as a tool to get his own way. Harry for sure will not be able to lead a good life from now on. At any rate, I am cheering for Kate's new beginning. Thank you for watching until the end. Please subscribe to our channel. We hope to see you in our next video.
My husband loves and spoils his sister so much that he brought her baby over for us to take care without telling me. As a result,
We're going to be the ones to look after Kendra's baby. You're unable to get pregnant anyways, so aren't you happy?
Huh? What the heck are you even saying?
Kendra still has a great future ahead of her. I'm sure she'll get married in the future too, so if she has a child right now, it'll make things difficult for her, right? And besides, it's not like you're getting pregnant any sooner. So, after talking it out with my parents, it's decided that we'll be the ones to take in Kendra's baby and look after her baby.
I can't believe this. I was opposed to this idea from the beginning. I told you that, right?
Well, who cares about your opinion? As long as Kendra is happy, then that's all that matters for us.
My name is Madeline. I am 32 years old and I work in the city hall. I have been married to my husband, Kyle, who is the same age as me, for 3 years now. We are currently working together and saving money toward the same goal. And our goal was to purchase our own home. We are working hard every day to save enough money in order to have our dream home. So that's why we don't have a child yet. Besides, we would need savings to have a baby too. So, we are trying not to have a baby until we have saved enough money for a down payment on our house, as well as saving enough for the clinic fees for our baby. We thought we were doing reasonably well as a married couple. Basically, I come home earlier than my husband, so I am in charge of cooking. Recently, there are many recipes on YouTube, so I have different recipes which I can cook for the day, which is really helpful. I can cook anything from quick and easy to very delicate meals from the YouTube channels, so my cooking skills have naturally improved over the years. My husband seems to look forward to my cooking every day, and he rarely goes out to drink or eat, and always comes home straight from work. I am happy to spend time with my husband over a meal and enjoy a nice conversation with him. And I thought that these happy days would continue in the future. But every family has its own problems and issues, and for me, that was my husband's younger sister, Kendra. But to my husband and his parents, Kendra was like a treasure for them, rather than a problem. Kendra, who is 4 years younger than my husband and I, is so beautiful that everyone looks back at her when they pass by her. She has big round eyes, tall with really long legs, and she is fit and has a really gorgeous style. When Kendra walks around town, she is often recruited by modeling agencies, and she used to also work as a model for her part-time job. Looking at these superficial aspects alone, it's obvious that her family would be really proud of her. But what I see as an issue is Kendra's terrible personality. Kendra is extremely selfish, and there are always bad rumors about her relationships with men. She seems to be connected to so many men for various purposes that I feel like she would just hop to different guys every single day. As a woman, I think that's very shameful. But I think the reason why Kendra has become such a carefree yet selfish woman is because of her parents and my husband. Both my husband and his parents, James and Lauren, were very protective of Kendra and loved her a lot. I was really surprised to see how they treated Kendra when I first went to visit them when Kyle and I just got married. Both James and Lauren greeted me kindly, and we all had a nice conversation with each other. Then, when we all decided to eat the cupcakes I had brought, Kendra said, "I want to eat the cream puff, not just these cupcakes." I had brought cream puffs for James because he prefers cream puffs better than cupcakes. I had heard that Kendra liked cupcakes, so I bought her the cupcakes. But hearing what she said, I thought she was being selfish. And Kendra was planning to not just eat the cupcakes, but also the cream puffs. She must be so greedy. I thought that she was pretty mature, but the next moment, James said something really surprising.
Oh, is that so? I'm sorry. Then you can eat my cream puffs here, Kendra.
He said that as he gave away his cream puffs to Kendra. Yay! Thanks, Daddy. As she said that, Kendra shoved the cupcake and the cream puff into her mouth with a really satisfied look on her face. And James was having his coffee without any care in the world. I couldn't believe my eyes. Isn't James spoiling her a little too much? And Kendra at that time was already 25 years old. It's not like she was in elementary school. And something even more surprising happened that day. Since you came over today, Madeline, why don't we get some pizza delivered?
Sounds great. I'm looking forward to pizzas.
Oh, me too. Since I'm starving, I really can't wait.
Well then, let's order some right away. Does pizza sound good for you, Kendra?
I'm in the mood for Mexican today. Wait, she's being selfish here too? The majority vote is 4-1. I clearly thought that James and Lauren would just deliver pizza. Well, that's what I at least thought, but...
So, you're feeling for Mexican food, huh, Kendra?
Well, if she's not up for pizza, then we've got no choice but to get Mexican food.
You're right. Then, I guess we should go to this Mexican restaurant in the town.
What the heck? Is Kendra a queen or something? Why are they all not going against Kendra but just obeying by what she's saying?
You're okay with that, right, Madeline? To eat at the Mexican restaurant?
What? Well, okay. There was no way I could argue in this kind of situation. And like that, we went to the Mexican restaurant and Kendra was happily eating the food that she wanted. This is crazy. If I get too involved with her, then something terrible might happen. That's what I thought, and so after that, I avoided Kyle's family as much as possible. When my husband would say that he's heading over to his parents' house, I would just give him a good reason and refuse to go. Kyle didn't force me to go to his parents' house, and I think this is the reason why we have been able to stay married for 3 years without any major issues. But in the past, there were times when Kendra would come over unannounced, and that was quite difficult for me to understand. When Kyle and I were first married, Kendra happened to live nearby and often came to our house to visit. Every time she came, Kendra would say terrible things to me. You really have a broad shoulder, don't you, Madeline? When I saw you from the behind, you look like a man. You look like a man cross-dressing with a wig on or something. I was too tired to take her seriously, so I just shrugged it off. Oh, I was in the volleyball team when I was in high school, and I worked out a lot, so maybe that's why. I think it's the muscles which makes me look like a man, I guess. Wow, I would never be able to stand that. Seriously, it's like you're not at all feminine. Kendra would make fun of me like this. And it didn't matter for her to say these things to me, even if it was in front of my husband. And my husband did not stop Kendra at all, even if she said those terrible things about me. We got into a fight about it at the time, And my husband would say,
"Oh, Kendra doesn't exactly mean what she says, you know."
and that Kendra was just joking around. I thought that if she was hurting people's feelings, it probably wasn't a joke, but at this point, I realized that I could not get my husband to really listen to me about my concerns with Kendra. A little while later, Kendra started living with her boyfriend at the time and moved away, which was really nice. And for a while, there were no issues regarding Kendra, but just recently, a terrible thing happened. One day, I was preparing dinner as usual when my husband came home with Kendra. At that point, my motivation dropped, and I got really depressed, but they came home somewhat looking really serious. Once I stopped what I was doing, I asked my husband what was going on.
"Actually, Kendra is having a baby."
What? Kyle was saying like it was really serious, so I got worried if there were any problems. Could it be that she doesn't know who the baby's dad is? When I said that, Kendra glared at me and shouted, "Oh, don't get me wrong like that. I'm not those skanks who would be with different guys at the same time." I don't know what kind of pride she has, but it doesn't change the fact that she has relationships with different guys. "Oh, I'm sorry, I didn't mean that." Well, and? So why are you looking all so serious?
"That's because her baby's dad is already married to another woman."
Excuse me? So that means Kendra was her baby's dad's mistress? She just said she wasn't a skank, but it doesn't add up with what she actually did. She really should just take back what she said. Oh, that's very bad. That's why I'm here asking for my brother's help. You must be an idiot. What is up with her? I guess it seems like when people don't have enough emotional leeway, they tend to lash out and show their bad sides, huh? Plus, I guess they all tend to use terrible words, huh? Does the wife know about it? Is the baby's dad saying that he'd leave his current wife and get together with you, Kendra? No, the wife knows. And since they also have kids, he told me that he has no intention to get a divorce. I knew this kind of thing would happen, one way or another. It's a very tricky issue, though, when it actually happens.
As you can see, Kendra is in a lot of trouble. She worries a lot and is really anxious. Because of that, she's stressed out. So as her family, we have to think about what we can do to help.
Well, there are only two options that I could think of at this point. Either Kendra raises her baby as a single mother, or she just gives up on the baby and get an abortion. When I remained silent, Kendra insisted, saying, "I want to have my baby." So then, that'll leave us with only one choice. And that was that Kendra would be responsible as a single mother and raise her baby. That's all I could think of, and that was the only choice left. So what on earth do they even want to discuss about other than that? But I don't want to work. What the? And I can't raise a baby altogether while I work. Does she even know what she's saying? So Kyle, you and Madeline should think of a better way for me. Is it really okay for a person like her to be a mother? No, there was no way that this was okay. I no longer wanted to participate in this ridiculous discussion. Besides, I'm really hungry and I want to have dinner soon. Then, my husband suddenly looked as if he had a flash of inspiration.
"That's it! I have a great idea."
What is it? What did you think of, Kyle?
"We'll look after your child, Kendra.
Huh?
That way, you won't feel burdened, Kendra, and we can have a kid too. What a great idea, huh?"
Oh, that sounds like a great idea, Kyle. You're such a genius. No way, he's not a genius at all. This is just completely unbelievable. Hey, now wait a minute. I completely opposed to that idea.
Wait, why? It's a great idea, don't you think?
What do you mean we'll look after the baby? What about work? We're both working, you know.
Then you can just quit work and be a full-time housewife.
What the hell is he saying? Stop deciding everything all on your own. I mean, I completely oppose on taking care of Kendra's baby.
You should stop being selfish, Madeline. Kendra's in trouble, so we should at least help her out like this.
Wow, I knew you were ugly, but I didn't know you were ugly inside too, Madeline. Well, I'm sorry, but my personality is way better than yours at least. Huh? What the hell?
Hey, you better apologize to Kendra right now.
No way. Anyways, I will never forgive you if we are to take care of Kendra's baby. Saying that, I just took my wallet and phone and left them at the house. I just really didn't want to see the two of them anymore. What the hell was my husband even thinking? I turned off my phone and I stayed that night in a hotel. The next morning, when I turned on the phone, I could see that I got a lot of text messages from Kyle. I saw that he sent me many messages saying to come back home. And once I returned home, my husband looked like he was a little sorry for what had happened. He probably didn't expect that I would leave the house like that.
I'm sorry I went ahead with the conversation on my own.
I was skeptical, but he apologized, so I decided to wait and see how things went for the time being. A few months later, Kendra gave birth to a child without any issues. Since then, my husband never said anything about taking in Kendra's baby, so I assumed that Kendra would raise the child properly as a single mother. My husband, who witnessed Kendra birthing the baby at the clinic, sent me a picture of the baby. I thought the baby was cute, even if the baby was Kendra's child. My husband stayed at his parents' house for a while after that to support Kendra after the birth. Well, if they were all cooperating with each other to raise the baby at my parents-in-law's house, that's fine, isn't it? With that thought in my mind, I went about my usual life. Then, one day, Kyle came back to our home with his parents. And for some reason, my husband was holding Kendra's baby. Huh? What happened? Did you bring Kendra's baby all the way here just so I could see her baby? When I asked Kyle that, he began to say something outrageous.
We're going to be the ones to look after Kendra's baby.
Huh? What the heck are you even saying?
Kendra still has a great future ahead of her. I'm sure she'll get married in the future too, so if she has a child right now, it'll make things difficult for her, right? And besides, it's not like you're getting pregnant any sooner. So, after talking it out with my parents, it's decided that we'll be the ones to take in Kendra's baby and look after her baby.
You're unable to get pregnant anyways, so aren't you happy?
Besides, Kendra's baby is really adorable, right?
I just couldn't take it anymore now. I can't believe this. I was opposed to this idea from the beginning. I told you that, right?
Well, who cares about your opinion? As long as Kendra is happy, then that's all that matters to us.
You've got to be kidding me. I can't take it anymore with all your crazy love for Kendra and just always spoiling her. Besides, it's not that I'm unable to have a child, you know. I was just prioritizing to save money. You all just interpret everything the way you want it to be, huh?
Excuse me? How dare you make fun of us?
What kind of wife are you?
Shame on you!
No, you should all be ashamed of what you're all doing. I can't take it anymore, so let's just get a divorce. Saying this, I confronted my husband with the divorce papers I had prepared just in case.
What? Divorce?
My husband sounded confused and he was upset. But both Lauren and James, whose blood was boiling with anger, urged him, saying, Kyle, you have to leave a woman like her. Then to that, my husband would say,
Well, if you can't understand us and our way, I have no choice but to leave you.
and signed the divorce papers on the spot.
Well then, hurry up and leave.
Oh, don't you worry, I will leave. So I quickly packed up my stuff and left. Then, after filing the divorce papers, I went back to my parents' house, looked for a room, and moved into an apartment. Thus, my marriage with Kyle ended easily like that, but I am glad that I left them rather than being with them any longer. I mean, I should have done that earlier. I then went back to my normal life, but about 3 months later, I received a phone call from my ex-husband. What is it?
Please, help me.
What's wrong?
Everything's going wrong.
According to my ex-husband, at first, both Kendra and Kyle returned to their parents' house and they were all raising Kendra's baby together. But one day, Kendra disappeared all of a sudden. So James, Lauren, and Kyle had to raise Kendra's baby all on her own. But James and Kate were already very old and they couldn't really move around and walk around well. Plus, it seemed like James overworked himself and suffered a bad back and had to be hospitalized. Kyle managed to raise the baby while using the paid leaves, but the situation would not change in just a few days, so he requested to work for shorter hours to the company. But due to this, his pay got cut, and on top of that, Lauren was also in need of nursing care, and although he needed the money, he was the only one who had to take care of his own mom and Kendra's baby. And now, my ex-husband is going insane because he has no time for himself and he's just always busy. But since it was none of my business, I just said, "Good luck," and hung up the phone. I immediately blocked the call after that, so I don't know what happened to Kyle after that, but he is probably having a very difficult time on his own. He deserved this because all he cared for was Kendra, who easily abandoned her own family. Sometime later, while casually watching TV, I saw the news showing a man and a woman being arrested and taken away by the police. I looked at the names of those arrested, and to my surprise, I saw Kendra's name. The face of the woman being taken away also looked like it was Kendra. Apparently, she and her partner stole from some family, and her partner was pretty violent, punching one of the members of that family. I knew that scums would eventually end up being scums until the end. I'm really serious, even at work, so I will try to find a relationship and marriage that fits my personality and have a happy family in the future. But next time I go out with a man, I'll have to carefully observe his family first. Kendra may indeed be beautiful, but the fact that the only good thing about her was her looks is already a red flag. Unlike the personality, looks and styles have an expiration date, and it's not there forever. Kyle and Madeline's in-laws should have realized this earlier and corrected Kendra's personality. Well, now, with everything that happened, I am sure that Kyle and his parents have realized how stupid and blind they were. At any rate, I hope Madeline will find a decent partner next time and have a happy married life. Thank you for watching until the end. Please subscribe to our channel. We hope to see you in our next video.